to get a third level of investment was to stop that pressure or maintain the integrity of that mission first approach.
Yeah. I see the operating agreement as critical to managing expectations. This will be negotiated so that each party is going to get out of it what they bargained for. And it's in everybody's interest to maximize the profitability of the venture once you've got it, notwithstanding the fact that there is a social purpose that's overarching. And each party can, any party could be taken out. There's nothing to suggest that you can't have somebody at the top of the triangle, have some formula where they can get bought out at a high level as results and milestones are achieved. So I think this is something, I always believe that you have to have a heart-to-heart conversation with founders in any entrepreneurial venture to make sure that those kinds of issues are addressed in front rather than later where they can become a problem. But I think this, everybody understands what the rules of the game are and what they're in it for and what they're going to get out of it. But I think the important thing is, done right, everybody's objectives should be rendered complementary to everybody else's. So everybody gets to pursue their own objectives the way they want to without, feeling that they're being pushed back. And at the same time, everybody, by doing what they're doing, enhances the financial and social purpose of the others. That's the way this ought to work. Floyd?
Do you see any problem with creating an evidentiary and corporate record that the entity was created for social purposes rather than for profit purposes? And the counter to that is, couldn't some evidence creep in indicating a profit motive that could really cause some trouble?
Yeah. The analog that occurs to me is the tax-exempt nonprofit. They get set up for a specific purpose. Sometimes they depart from that purpose, for good or for ill. Sometimes they depart from that purpose for still another permissible charitable purpose. Sometimes they don't. They go off the reservation. I didn't mean to have a Native American metaphor there again, but it reinforces my earlier point, so it's okay. What happens? The determination of tax exemption is based upon the application for determination of tax exemption tendered to the IRS. That application describes the intended business. The letter coming back from the IRS says, if you do it this way, then you're exempt. If you don't, you're not. And you're obliged to go back and notify of any material variance from the original purposes. Here, I think the manager, and that may be an individual or company or combination of players, will have a fiduciary obligation to ensure that the charter is respected, and the charter is going to lay out the social or educational purpose. So I think that's where that comes into play. Remember, the LL3, I guess I didn't get into this, but probably I should. LL3s have LLCs, and therefore L3Cs, have two different governance structures. They can either be member managed or manager managed. So you can have the managers, who are the owners, equivalent to shareholders or partners, can manage by committee. And that then becomes kind of a glorious board of directors by another name. Or they can delegate to one of themselves or to a company or to someone else the authority to manage the enterprise. Either way, whoever the manager is, they're the ones that actually call the shots, and they're the ones that are accountable to the other members as fiduciaries, just as a board of directors would be in a corporation. So if the charter specifies specific purposes and they do not honor that charter provision, it's at their own personal peril. So they have individual liability for breaching the charter. There will also be an operating agreement they'll be obliged to enforce. Other question? Yes?
With this reform, as new as it is, if entrepreneurs in this room want to start a discussion with the foundation about possibilities,
Yeah.
where's the, short of Googling, where is the information that's legitimate about it?
With respect to?
To educating the foundation.
Educating foundations. And I think you've described this exactly right. I think this will be an education process because there will be a predisposition against program-related investments because it's been a sore subject. It's there in the law, but it isn't something you can readily take advantage of. I think one of the things, I think Who knows? Maybe Social Enterprise Alliance will take it upon itself to educate the foundation community, not only our chapter, but perhaps nationally. But I think there needs to be, hopefully, all of you will be messengers of this message and be able to communicate through various forums to foundations of your acquaintance and otherwise that this opportunity is now surfacing and the importance of it to really be impactful in terms of driving positive social change.
Who's the driving force in this change? Is it existing LLCs or foundations? Is it enlightened legislators? Where is this momentum coming from?
As with all good ideas, it starts with a few people. The original law was Vermont, and Vermont, as you may know, has a progressive tradition. And a couple of people in Vermont got it through their heads, hey, you know, we could get at this program-related investment money if we found a mechanism to make it less risky. And they had a conversation with a local rep in Vermont, probably somebody on their block, because all of Vermont is about the size of a block. And there we had now the beta site. We had the prototype from which to build. And now, you know, just as we've picked it up here in Illinois and moved it along, that's happening all over the country. It's a viral proposition and one that, you know, has few naysayers. It's really something that works to everybody's advantage. So therefore, why not? Yes.
Can you give some examples of L3Cs that you're involved in starting up? And I know the Vermont law is less than a year old, but are there any case studies or success stories that we can?
There are no success stories, and I only know of one L3C in the state of Vermont. And it is a consulting practice for local nonprofits. But what was the other part of your question?
I was wondering if there was an example of where this is actually happening in practice and what you might already be able to learn from that person or that company.
Yeah. There are some in this room who are in fact embarking down that road. I won't speak for them. But I've indicated within my own practice we're pretty actively committed to this concept, both because of our firm's orientation toward values-based decision-making and also because we happen to think it's a pretty exciting and neat idea. So, you know, we're talking about it to clients for whom we think it fits. So ask me 6 months from now, and I'll give you some success stories. Others? Is there a hand up? Yes.
What would you suggest at this point if people are interested